Hello, this is wmpyr. I received a comment that the grinding techniques that I showed you before, grinding onto the face right here, is very similar to what the instructor Richard Dimitri shows, which he calls the shredder. Okay, so I'm here to talk about, I guess, the differences. Now, I am not an expert with the instructor Richard Dimitri's system or the shredder, so I can't tell you for certain, but I'll try my best of the limited understanding that I have about their style. Okay, so from my understanding, the shredder is a concept, so it's not a technique. It is a concept where the goal, or what you're trying to do, is you are attacking them so ferociously that you cause their brain to shut down. So the technique, it doesn't matter what the technique is. It could be a thumb to the eye, a claw to the face, it could be a palm strike, it could be a headbutt, it could be biting their nose off, it could be whatever, as long as you're making their brain shut down. And it has to be continuous, and there's more, I think, specific things, like where they grab a hold, I don't know if it's called anchoring or something along those lines, and they just non-stop attack this person, and they pretty much destroy the face gets destroyed. It is brutal. I would assume that the person that's getting attacked, it's kind of like being attacked by a wild animal, like by a coyote or a wolf or something, and it's just going to be so much aggression going on that you're going to be in shock and you don't know what to do. And that's exactly what they're going for, from my understanding. And the roots of that come from the Tony Blauer, the self-defense instructor Tony Blauer, who is famous for his martial arts psychology. So he's studying the human brain and how it works and applying that with martial arts. So I think there is connected roots there, because I believe the instructor Richard Dimitri was one of Tony Blauer's guys, if I'm not mistaken, or at least that's what I heard. So there you go. That's their side. So for one thing, I could tell you that the grinding, what I'm showing you guys, this grinding stuff, first of all, the name for the technique is, I call it the cheese grater, because that's what it's like. You're cheese grating their face, right? I call it the cheese grater, and it's a technique. It's not a concept. So that's the first difference. And the technique is either you're doing the angles of attack or you're doing the heaven six. So basically, the cheese grater is two techniques. So angles of attack cheese grater or heaven six cheese grater, okay? And the other thing is, my goal here is not to attack them so much, so aggressively that they're overwhelmed and their brain shuts down, because at that moment, you're winning the fight. You are completely dominant at that moment, okay? And that's completely not what I'm teaching you guys, okay? What I said to you guys was, you're annoying, not destroying, annoying the opponent. To me, that's a big difference, okay? So why? Historically, this comes from Filipino martial arts. And in Filipino martial arts, it's always been, at least from my understanding, my interpretation, it's been about guerrilla warfare, because the opponent is superior. If the opponent is superior, how am I supposed to dominate them? I don't think that I could dominate them, and to try to dominate them is a big task. So I'm not even going there. I don't care about dominating the opponent. I just want to live. I just want to survive. So while I'm distracting them, I'm not getting hurt. That's the idea here. I am surviving. They could be punching me, but at this moment, I am annoying them that they're not doing that to me. So that's the goal here, is not to overwhelm them so much that now they're the victim and I'm the hunter, I'm the predator. No, that's not what I'm doing here at all. Okay, so big difference. I'm thinking in terms of, what can I realistically do against someone that's a superior opponent, someone that's bigger, meaner, faster, when I think of all those things, can I dominate and crush them? I don't know. That just seems like I'm setting the bar way too high. My expectations are unrealistic, in my opinion. So the style, if you can do that, great. If you could turn the tables around and do the shredder or whatever, hey, that's great. That's good for you. But I'm talking about a situation where you can't. So to me, that's a big difference. Okay. The other thing is the roots is completely different. But before I go there, let's talk about also what's going on here. Okay. Like I said before, with a shredder, I think this person feels like they've been attacked by a wild animal. And the result, I think also their face can look like they've been attacked by a wild animal. Their nose might be missing, the face is all clawed up, the eyeball, the retina may be scratched, the ear could be ripped. I mean, they're going to be a bloody mess, right? What I'm teaching you guys, the cheese grater doesn't do that at all. I think, yeah, their face is going to be red and it's going to be sore. Maybe the next day it might be still sore, but I don't really think there'll be permanent damage. I don't think there's going to be blood, everywhere. That's not the goal. It's, I'm grinding and, abusing their face, but not to the point where I'm ripping it to shreds and, like I said, biting the nose off or, sticking my thumb into their eye. You can do that stuff, but that's not what I'm teaching you guys. And the angles of attack, I expect them to close their eyelid, and I'm just putting pressure on there. Why? Because even if the guy's 200 pounds, 200 pounds plus, you put pressure on his eyeball, that's a weak spot for him. But not to where I'm trying to blind him or take out an eye. That's completely different. So the end result to me is also very different between the two. The other thing is the roots. The roots is totally different as well. Mine comes from Filipino martial arts. And in Filipino martial arts, when I'm doing techniques like the Heaven Six, and then when I sparred full contact back in the day, I found myself that I was in long range. I'm doing my techniques, whether it's with weapons or without. I'm using a stick, a screamer stick. I'm in long range. I didn't find myself in medium range or in close range, and I was like, that's not good, because we learned stuff in medium range, close range, and ground range, but I was always in long range. So I was like, okay, I need to develop more for medium and close range. So one of the exercises that I did was to get to the wall as close as possible without hitting the wall. So I would practice Heaven Six and get closer and closer and closer to the wall without hitting it, okay? So that exercise is control and getting used to fighting in close proximity. So I was practicing that, and I did a lot of it with the training knife, a rubber training knife. So if I hit the wall, there'll be a black mark left on the wall. So I had to be very, very careful. So I did a lot of that, and that made me more comfortable, and then I got more and more comfortable being in close range. It was like now, naturally, I'm more comfortable now to try the knife in the reverse grip. So I started doing that. I started practicing with more and more with the reverse grip. This is many years ago. And then from here, now the next step was to use something like a kubotan, a palm stick. So it's much smaller, okay? Much, much smaller. And then as I'm doing that, also with the reverse grip, this is happening. I'm making small contact with my fist, not just the weapon, which would be hammer fist right here, and it would be a small portion sticking out. It wasn't just that, it was also this. This was happening too. And in fact, if I didn't use this other areas of my fist, it felt like a waste because it's right there. Why don't I do it? He doesn't care. So boom, 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 boom. And it was like, well, I don't want to use my fist because I could hurt my fist. Out here, bam, I could hurt my fist if I hit the wrong thing. Okay, but here at this range, it wasn't really bad. So then I was like, okay, then use the fist with the weapon. Use the fist all you want with the weapon. So then you see that it starts to really blend in. Okay, and when it starts to really blend in like this, that was the first steps. And then I started noticing, oh, here comes the grinding stuff. The grinding stuff was just a natural part with it. To start grinding here. And then as that started happening, I was like, yeah, this sucks. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause tremendous damage, but it sucks for the opponent, and that's what I want. And as I was thinking that, I was like, wait a minute, this is similar to grinding. Grinding is what? I learned grinding on the ground. That was my first experience with grinding. And there was a classmate at this particular grappling school that I was going to, and this guy was known for grinding. He was very nasty with it. And one day he didn't come to class, and the teacher was like, okay, what do you guys want to learn today? And one of the guys said, how do you defend against grinding? What do you do? And the teacher was like, someone grinds you, you grind them back. And we were like, but we don't know how. And he was like, all right, today you're going to learn how. And that's the whole class was just spent on grinding. And that's when I first learned the effectiveness of grinding. So once I came and became very comfortable here with my Filipino martial arts, and then now combine that with the grappling grinding, which is normally done on the ground, but now here I am doing it here, it just combined with the small, super short strikes, it was just a natural progression. It made sense. It just made total sense right there. And that's where it comes from, essentially. Okay, so combined with the grappling on the ground. And if you watch UFC fighters today, when the other person is trying to take down the other guy, the defense they're using, they're putting their forearm into the guy's face, and they're trying to create that space, because to take a person down from out here to try to take them down is much, much more difficult than to take them down from right here. So they push away on that face, and they, whatever they can to put that forearm in between, so they're grinding it in, and then they're pushing them away. They're pushing them away like this with their forearm, and guess what? That combines with the grinding, and that also makes total sense to me to shut down their wrestling. So it's not to destroy the opponent, but it's to annoy them so they cannot wrestle me, they cannot box me. So once again, that all makes perfect sense to me. So that's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.